he can beat you in a lot of different ways. He's got a combination of size and speed and skill that is very rare. And, obviously a key guy for them.
Steve, going back to early the part of the season, and especially as you ran up to the trade deadline, there was a lot of talk about your lack of size and maybe looking at the possibility of adding a big man. But you guys were pretty consistent in saying that you thought you'd be okay. Why did you have such conviction then? And what do you think of the way it's turned out?
Well, it's turned out fine. I think we felt, for most of the year, we felt like James was going to be back. So that was one of the reasons we didn't fill the spot fill the roster spot with a big man. And then once it became apparent that James was not coming back, we didn't have a roster spot to fill with a big man. So fortunately, Loon and Draymond and Belly have all played really well at that 5 spot. And the league is smaller and quicker and not as much need anymore for, the multiple aircraft carriers down there.
But as you went into the series against bigs like you did against Denver and against Memphis, were there any concerns that maybe that would be an issue for you?
No. I mean, Draymond plays a lot of 5 now, and Loon has been so consistent and healthy all season long. So, we never really gave it much thought.
Steve, how would you define the word culture gets thrown around a lot? What does that mean to you? What did you try to build here when you got here, and how much did that help you guys get through what happened 2 years ago to have the worst record in the league?
I think what culture means to me is what the players feel when they enter the building every day. What do they experience? What's the vibe in the building? And whatever that is, that's the culture. So, I think we were able to sustain that culture through that season 2 years ago when we had the worst record in the league by just staying true to our process. And, we want our players to come in and put in the work and enjoy themselves and understand that this is a place, this is their opportunity to get better and make the most of their talent, and that they're going to have all the resources here that will provide that, and that they will enjoy the process too. So that's kind of our culture. And I think Steph embodies everything that we believe in, all the values that we believe in. And so Steph's presence from the very beginning allowed that culture to blossom.
What were Gary, Andre, and Otto able to do today?
None of them scrimmaged, but they all took part in practice. So they're all progressing and doing pretty well. And we'll have an update again tomorrow and the next day, and we'll just see where it all goes.
Do you have a better feel on any of their statuses after one day of practice?
No, because none of them scrimmaged yet.
Derek White was kind of one of the most underrated moves at the deadline, I'd say. And, obviously you saw a lot of him in San Antonio. What have you thought about what he's brought to Boston, especially with our defense?
Yeah, I coached Derek in the World Cup a couple of summers ago, so I know him pretty well, and really, really good two-way player, combo guard. I think he added a lot to their team when he was traded there. It was a really good pickup for them. Another ball handler, another passer, another guy to help them get organized. And he's obviously played a key role in the playoffs. He's had some really big games for them.
Steve, as a historian of the league, does the name the Boston Celtics mean something more? I mean, did seeing that as an opponent in the finals, is it give it a certain kind of aura that, I'm not to denigrate any other opponent, potential opponent, but that, that it just, they still kind of carry that aura?
For sure. I mean, I think anybody with a subjective point of view would tell you that the Celtics and the Lakers are the two biggest brands in the game, and they each have the most history to their franchises. There's just something about playing in Boston that feels special. Every year we only play there once a year in the regular season, but it always feels like a special game. Their fans love the game. There's a great energy in there. The green and white jerseys, it's classic NBA stuff. So it's exciting to be playing them.
Steve, Steve, you have the benefit of hindsight. When I ask this question, I'm building off what Ron said. When you think about the 2 or 3 seasons you guys were down, when you go look on that, how important?
Two. Make sure we get that right. Did pretty well this season, Logan, so far.
Okay, so with
Go
the
on,
with the
go on.
benefit of hindsight, how important were those 2 seasons just to where you guys are now in terms of development and getting guys back, and also the health of you guys when the pandemic made the bubble, made players play through the bubble and have all those things. Well, how important was that time for you guys when you guys were down for those 2 seasons?
Yeah, I mean the development and the space for the front office to rebuild the roster after losing so many key guys after the 19 finals. It was all much needed. So, we end up drafting and working with Jordan Poole the last couple of years and trading for Wiggs. You had Loon, becoming a different player from where he was 3 years ago. You had, some time to really evaluate our team from one year to the next, which I think helped our front office select our free agents this past year, based on what we all experienced the previous couple of years. And then I think the pandemic year when we had the worst record in the league, I think it was actually very helpful not to go to the bubble. I think our guys, frankly, were kind of fried emotionally from that 5-year run, going to the finals every year and being injured. And I think being away was the best thing for our guys to be able to kind of re-energize.
Steve, Boston got stretched to go a game 7, I think 2 in a row now, right? What, in your experience in postseason play, what kind of impact does that have on a team, if any? And what do you think that'll portend for this finals?
Well, I don't think that it hurts them in any way. I mean, you obviously health is always something that you worry about as a coach. Whether you play a 7-game series or a 4-game series. We got 3 guys injured, and we haven't gone 7 yet, so it doesn't necessarily connect. But sometimes you get through a gauntlet like that and come out on the other side, you're stronger for it. So once you get to this point and you get a fresh start, I think nothing else really matters. You're here and you lay it on the line, see what happens.
Steve, what in your mind makes Marcus Smart such an elite defender? Like, what specifically?
Well, his strength and his anticipation. He's got a incredible feel for the game at that end. He's like the guard version of Draymond. He's reading angles. He's guarding all 5 positions. If he switches onto a 5-man, he's so strong that he can hold him off. He's quick enough to chase point guards around, big enough to guard wings. So he can literally guard 1 through 5 in the modern game. And so he's just appropriately named, very smart player and really versatile and great defender.
Steve, how do you think Jordan has handled himself during this postseason, and in what ways have you seen him grow during this playoff run?
Jordan's been great, to be able to carry over what he's built over the last couple of regular seasons into the postseason and have so many big games for us at such critical times. It's been fantastic to watch watch his development. And this is what it's about. You know, these are the most competitive games that you'll ever play and as an NBA player. So the fact that he has responded so well is a great sign.
Steve, you mentioned a little while ago what a key move it was to get Wiggins, what it meant for the roster. I imagine they bounced his name to you, probably well before the actual trade happened. What were your thoughts at that point? And then when did you know, yeah, this is going to be a perfect fit?
I think, what I liked and the coaching staff liked when his name was floated was just the size and athleticism. I've talked a lot about how much of our wing core we lost that year. It was basically wiped out. Andre, Sean, Clay, Kevin. And we just didn't have the length and athleticism to guard all the great wings in the league. And if you don't have that, you have no chance. So really liked the idea. And then when the trade happened, it was a chance for us to evaluate Wiggs. And I think he only played about 15 games before the pandemic ended the season. But those 15 games were impressive. He showed what he could do defensively. I think he's started to get more comfortable playing the way we play. Although Steph and Clay weren't out there, we were still running some of the same actions. And then I think all last year really gave him a better chance to get a feel offensively and start to really fit into our off-ball movement. And I think he's taken a leap in this postseason with his rebounding and his defense. And I think, continuity is so important in this league that you can't just throw people together and expect it to work. So the previous, year and 15 games, whatever it was, 2 years ago, and then this season, it's all led to this point. And Wiggs has just been a perfect fit, and we wouldn't be here without him. That's for sure.
Steve, there's some pictures going around of the team on its first championship run, and just are struck by how young they all look. And now they're grown men with, you see a bunch of little kids running around, not just Riley. Just wondering from your perspective, how is this trip to the finals different, just given the age, given the maturity of your
Yeah.
core players?
I was going to say, how do they think I feel? Yeah, we were all young and fresh faced in 15 for sure. And there's something about that first trip to the finals that is pretty unique and special. It's just so different. There's such a different vibe in the air, and it's an amazing experience to be part of. But now that we've been there a lot, our core guys have felt it, and I think that's very helpful. And they'll talk to our younger guys about what they're about to face. The game is still the game, but all the fanfare and hoopla that happens around each game it can be tricky. So it's good to have been there before as we embark on this series.
Steve, you mentioned going back to Wiggins about how he took a big leap this postseason. Is this kind of like the role you envisioned him having, being more of the not needing to score in high volumes because you have other players?
Yeah. I mean, when we made the trade, obviously we were expecting to get Clay back the following season and Steph. So the whole thought was, Wiggs does not have to be a franchise savior like he was being asked of in Minneapolis. This was a really seemingly an ideal fit because Steph and Clay and Draymond had already accomplished so much, and we had our core. So it was really more a role to play than a leadership position to fill. So much different set of circumstances. And as I mentioned, the lack of size and athleticism on the wing was such a glaring hole for us that, it was seemingly a good fit from the beginning, but you never know until it all plays out.
I mean, did this play out better than maybe you had envisioned it?
Yeah, it's worked out even better than we could have hoped because he's been so good defensively. Being able to guard Doncic, Morant, in this series, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, we have to have him. But on top of that, just the playmaking that comes with his talent, again, our focal point offensively is going to be Steph and Clay and now Jordan. So to have Wiggs as a secondary playmaker, it's just a huge luxury. So there have been a lot of plays in this playoffs where, maybe a play breaks down and Wiggs gets the ball and he's got no problem, creating an open shot for himself. And we haven't always had that. We had it with Kevin. We didn't really have it before Kevin arrived. So it feels like now with this team, we've got more guys who can generate a shot either for themselves or for their teammates. And that's incredibly helpful, especially when you play against a team like Boston that's so good defensively. Today was, yeah.